Hey guys, welcome back to the second update of building Erebor. So, over the last few weeks we have done quite a bit of progress. Of course you can see pretty much all of it is down here at the front. As you can remember in our last update, the very first update of building Erebor, we were talking about the design and how we wanted it to look and things like that. But today is the very first update where we're going to be actually showing off the first building progress in it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so if we start down here on the first base plate, you can see that it's not much of anything really. It's not going to be the City of Dale, neither is it going to be anything of real attraction overall in the main mock. But nonetheless, it's not supposed to be anything boring. It's mainly just supposed to be somewhere where you can have a battle scene, but it's still supposed to look nice in its own way. So I decided to experiment with lots of different techniques. I used here, you can see, a lot of mixtures of tiles and plates in order to make varying levels of ground, but also make it look interesting. If you see over here, I tried mixing up different kinds of curved and angular wedges in order to give it just some more depth, something different. I also played around with giving it a little bit of color. As you can see here, I used dark green, olive green, and sand green just for those little accents that make it look a little bit better than just plain dark tan. And then if you see over here in this corner, you can see the beginning of what is going to be the river. Now I'm not quite sure if I like this idea. I might want to change it in a little bit, but for right now you can see that it's going to be just the normal ground and then rocky down into the riverbed. So that's the main plan over there. And then just to make it just a little bit different, I started over here in this bottom corner making a little rock formation because, you know, it is on the side of a mountain, so it's not always going to be flat. So in order to play around again with those levels and things like that, I decided to put a little rocky outcropping. I know I did say in the last video that that would be the beginning or some sort of a formation of Ravenhill. However, I don't think that's going to be advisable now that I look at the scale of things. I think that would just be too distracting from the City of Dale and Erebor itself. So I might put some sort of that flag thing right up there, as well as maybe Azok with a few orcs, maybe some sort of a structure of some old ruins, but it's not going to be a main feature overall in the mock. Also, you can see in the middle, again with playing with those levels, which I know I've just mentioned about 30 times, but I did use filler brick to build this up, so you can see it's not actually built on the same level as the base plates. It's built one brick up. So by doing that, that meant that I could go down and up. Again, I'm talking about levels. I don't know why I'm talking about levels, but it just really interests me. It's something I don't really do. So I think the next thing is we should move on to the City of Dale. We have the beginnings of this wall that's going to be bordering the City of Dale. This is more of like a line of defense, I guess, for the city. However, the city is also very ornate, so I wanted to portray that in a way, as well as just making it look very solid, which is why I went with this design for the roof of this building. If you do remember in one scene, which I will put a picture up right now, they are being attacked by the dragon Smaug, and there are a bunch of horns coming out from these pillars right here, and the roof looks pretty much exactly like that. Not exactly those colors. I was merely playing around with pieces, trying to see what looked good. I do quite like this design of having more of like a circular dome with a little spire in the middle. However, all of these will be built out of dark red pieces instead of, as you can see here, gold and sand green. The reason is, well, that's what all the colors of the roofs are, so I want it to make it all matching. I don't want to just use pieces that look nice. I want it to match. So those are just experimentations. Also, we have these diagonal pieces, which are fairly new from Lego. I wish they had them in tan, but instead of just leaving studs exposed right there, I thought I might cover it up using this piece right here. If we can focus, let's see. Can we focus? Okay, we can't focus. We can't focus. Okay, so you know what that piece looks like. It's that one right there. And moving on to the wall, I think for me this was one of the more interesting parts of building it. I got to use these pieces, which I did get from Bricklink. I only got about 12 of them because I didn't really have a use for them. But they are the Nexo Knight shield pieces in tan. And I thought they were just really nice to use because they'd break up just a normal solid wall. So I used those. And it's the first time I've done that. It doesn't really match the City Ideal, but I think it looks good. So that's what that is. And then the next thing at the end right here, it's not really supposed to represent any specific building or something like that. It's more of just another structure that won't really have an interior, just to give to the overall look of Dale. Alright, so moving on to the back side of that wall that we were just talking about, you can see that the building is mostly, well, it is exactly the same. It's supposed to be symmetrical on all sides, except for this little bit I just put here. It's just a dark tan as opposed to normal tan clay. I wanted to give it more of a little bit of a weathered look, so I experimented with that. I kind of like it, so I guess we'll stick with that. Down towards the bottom you can see a little bit of a rock formation growing into the wall, as well as just a few baskets, because Dale, I forget what the exact term was, but it was like there was a lot of markets in the city, so there's going to be a lot of fresh produce and things like that. So lots of crates and market sellers and all this stuff will be lining the streets. So it won't look like this when it's done because there will be so much covering it, but for the base of it, that's what the pathways through the city will look. I try to put a few studs in here because it's really annoying to stand up minifigures on tiles because it usually falls over all the time. So integrating those, it adds a little bit of depth to the sidewalk, as well as giving stability for minifigures. Against the back of this wall over here, I played around with giving some sort of an arch or something just to break up a normal flat wall, just like on the outside, but I didn't want to do the same thing. So I stuck with that design right here, and it's more of an arch with a few pillars coming down. I guess you could use it as a bench or something. I'm not quite sure, but I just quite like that, so I think we'll stick with that. Alright, so moving on to the last part of the update. Here we have this building. Now, I don't have a name for it, unfortunately. They don't really give one. But if you see in all the pictures of Dale, it looks like a very significant building. It's a really large building, possibly the largest in Dale. And it's got a huge red, well, dark red dome roof with 4 spires in the corners. It looked really significant to me, so I wanted to make it more of a centerpiece to build Dale around, which is why I gave it this more of like a cobbled stone steps rising up to it as if it's above all the other buildings. So that's the impression I wanted to give. So that's why I did it like that. I wanted to add a little bit more detail, but I also wanted it to match the other buildings with these pieces right here. I thought to make something in unison with all the buildings would make it all feel more connected. I try to make it as symmetrical as possible, which is why I put the exact same windows on all sides except for the main door right here. Also, the steps wrap all the way around, so I thought that was really cool. Then over here in this next section, I know there isn't anything there at the moment, but I do have plans for what's going to go there. So the wall will curve around in that kind of fashion up until here, where there will be a huge arched gate, and then from there will be a path leading up to Erebor. The wall will continue after the arch to the other side, and that will be the border around Dale. And then inside I'm going to have a bunch of cobbled little streets running throughout it, and buildings of different shapes and sizes just to give it that different depth. So that pretty much sums it up for this update. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to comment down below, give it a like, and subscribe for more content like this. So we'll see you in the next update. Bye.